Don't let them define you, kid. I was just like you once. His tall, lean frame lowered to one knee as he gently approached the little girl sitting on the edge of the weather-worn park bench. Her shoulders trembled as she stared down at her shoes frayed, faded, their soles nearly separating from the canvas. Her soft cries blended into the rustle of the autumn leaves swirling around her. Guess she can't even afford real shoes, a boy sneered as he jogged past with two others, their mocking laughter trailing behind them like exhaust fumes. Must be trash day in the park. The girl flinched but didn't respond. Her arms were folded tight around her stomach, as if shielding herself from the world. Marcus felt a familiar twist in his chest, the kind of ache he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. He hadn't come to the park looking for anything but a brief escape from boardrooms, investors, and the choking silence of his penthouse. But here she was, this child, so small, so broken, so familiar. "Can I help with that?" he asked gently, motioning to the undone lace on her left shoe. She looked up. Her face was streaked with tears, and her eyes, those deep, intelligent brown eyes, were rimmed red. She said nothing but nodded. Slowly, he knelt beside her, fingers deftly working through the tangled lace. "I'm Marcus," he said. "What's your name?" The girl wiped her nose with the back of her sleeve. "Anna," she murmured. Marcus smiled. "Anna's a beautiful name." She gave a slight nod, then whispered, "Mom says I'm supposed to ignore people who are mean, but sometimes I wish I could disappear." The sentence hit Marcus harder than any business negotiation ever had. He stopped tying and looked up at her, eyes steady. "Anna," he said quietly, "you don't need to disappear. You need the world to finally see you for who you are. If you feel for the character, give this video a like. And comment below where you're watching from, who knows. Someone nearby might be watching too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this." Suddenly, the sound of rapid footsteps broke the moment. "Get your hands off my daughter." A woman mid-30s, caramel-skinned, hair pulled back in a tight bun, rushed toward them. Her purse swung violently at her side, eyes blazing with fear and fury. "Whoa, ma'am, it's okay," Marcus said, lifting his hands instinctively, still kneeling. But the woman didn't wait. She lunged forward and shoved Marcus's arm off Anna's shoe. Anna gasped, startled. "I don't care who you are. You don't touch my daughter," she snapped. Marcus backed away, stunned. He stood slowly, hands still raised. The woman stood between him and Anna now, arms protectively wrapped around the girl. Anna looked equally confused and relieved. "I'm sorry," Marcus began. She was crying, and then their eyes locked. Everything stopped. Her lips parted slightly. The breath caught in her chest. Her expression flickered shock, recognition, confusion. "Marcus?" she breathed. Marcus stared. "Emily?" It was her. Older, yes, thinner, more tired, but it was her. Emily Carter. The woman he had loved. The woman he had lost. He could barely speak. You disappeared. And you never came looking," she fired back, her voice sharp and laced with betrayal. Anna looked between them, eyes wide. You know each other?" Emily turned away briefly, running a hand through her hair. "Let's go, Anna." "No, wait." Marcus stepped forward. "Emily, I didn't know about her, about you. You thought I just vanished?" Emily said, voice rising. "You had every resource, every connection, and yet nothing, not one call." Marcus's jaw clenched. "You left with no goodbye, no number, no address." Emily exhaled harshly, then glanced at Anna, who stood there confused, frightened. "I didn't want to raise her in your world," she said finally. "I wanted her to know who she was, not what the tabloids said." Marcus's heart thudded in his chest. "Is she mine?" Emily didn't answer. She just stared at him, expression unreadable. Anna whispered again, "What's going on?" Silence settled like fog. In that moment, Marcus felt the weight of 1,000,000 missed chances. 1,000 conversations they never had. A life that could have been. He turned toward Anna and crouched again. His voice was soft, broken. "Anna, I didn't know. I swear." But I'm here now. Emily pulled Anna close. You don't get to walk back in like nothing happened. Marcus nodded. I'm not asking for anything, except a chance to make it right. The wind picked up. The last leaves of October tumbled across the concrete path. And in the stillness, Anna reached out not with certainty, but with curiosity and touched Marcus's sleeve. Were you really just like me? She asked. Marcus met her gaze. Yeah, more than you know. He stood up, stepping back, allowing Emily to lead her away. But something had changed. Something had been unearthed, and it would not stay buried. Marcus sat motionless in the back seat of his town car, staring blankly out the tinted window as the Manhattan skyline blurred by. The city, always alive and unapologetically loud, now seemed far away, like a world he no longer belonged to. He couldn't stop replaying the scene in the park. Anna's tear-streaked face, Emily's voice, edged with steel and grief. The way their eyes had met after so many years and all that had gone unspoken between them. He had spent his adult life mastering the art of control. Deals worth billions sealed with a glance, entire companies swayed by a speech. Yet one 6-year-old girl and a woman from his past had undone all of that in less than 5 minutes. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small leather notebook. It was old, worn at the corners. Inside, tucked between scribbled notes and flight itineraries, was a folded photo, faded but intact. Emily, sitting on the stoop of her Brooklyn walk-up, grinning at the camera. Her hand rested gently over a flat belly. He had never noticed it back then. Sir? James, his driver, glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Where to? Marcus hesitated. His calendar was full. Meetings, interviews, a fundraiser for the city's literacy program. But none of it seemed to matter now. Cancel the rest of the day, he said. Take me home. When he arrived at the penthouse, the silence greeted him like an old friend. He walked past the curated furniture, the abstract paintings worth more than most people's mortgages, and collapsed onto the edge of his bed. She's alive. And the child, he couldn't bring himself to say it aloud. Instead, he stared at the ceiling and remembered the day she left. It had been raining, the kind of cold spring rain that soaks through even the most expensive umbrellas. Emily had come to his office unannounced. She looked tired, worn thin, but she had smiled. I'm leaving, she'd said simply. I need to breathe. And I can't do that in your world. He had tried to stop her, of course. Asked her to stay, to wait until the next board vote, to be patient just a little longer. She had only shaken her head. I don't want our child raised behind glass, she'd murmured. But he hadn't heard that part then. Not truly. Now, he did. His phone vibrated on the nightstand. He glanced at the screen, an incoming call from Lena, his chief of staff. Marcus, she said, voice crisp. You've missed 2 calls from the foundation board. Are you all right? I'm fine, he lied. Something came up. I'll circle back tomorrow. There was a pause. Lena wasn't one to pry, but she could read between lines. If you need someone to talk to. I don't, he cut in, more sharply than intended. Then softer. Thank you. He ended the call. Later that evening, unable to sit still, Marcus returned to the park. He wore a hoodie and jeans, a soft attempt at anonymity. The bench where he'd met Anna was empty now. The leaves had gathered around it like forgotten promises. He sat and closed his eyes. The sound of children's laughter drifted from the swings. Dogs barked in the distance. A jazz saxophonist played near the fountain. Life, unbothered by personal crisis, moved forward. A pair of footsteps approached. Didn't think you'd come back. Marcus opened his eyes. Emily stood there, arms folded across her chest, face unreadable. I wasn't sure I'd see you again, he said. She sat down beside him, not too close. I shouldn't have reacted like that, she began. It just scared me, seeing you there, with her. She was crying, he said simply. I wasn't trying to intrude. Emily nodded, looking down at her hands. Anna gets picked on, a lot. She's quiet, a little different. And this neighborhood, she trailed off. Kids can be cruel, Marcus said. Especially when they think no one's watching. Emily's eyes flicked toward him. She doesn't know, not about you. Does she know her father's alive? Emily hesitated. I told her he left before she was born. That he wasn't ready. I didn't name you. I never thought you'd want to know. I didn't know, Marcus said, voice thick. Emily, if I had, I know, she interrupted softly. I know. They sat in silence for a while. Then, carefully, Marcus asked, Can I see her again? Emily looked at him, long and hard. She's not a secret. But she's not a prop, either. You want to be part of her life. You don't get to drop in when it's convenient. I'm not here for convenience, he said. I'm here because I need to know her. Then start slow, Emily replied. Maybe lunch, somewhere she feels safe. Marcus nodded. I'd like that. She stood, brushing leaves from her jeans. One more thing, he said. Why did you name her Anna? Emily turned. It was your grandmother's name, she said softly. You once told me she taught you how to tie your first shoelace. And just like that, she walked away. Marcus sat still for a long time, heart pounding against a silence that no longer felt so empty. Anna, his daughter, her name was Anna. Saturday afternoon came with the kind of clear sky that made Manhattan look almost gentle. Marcus Black stood near the edge of the Central Park Zoo playground, hands in his coat pockets, heart pacing like a man waiting for a verdict. Across the small lawn, Emily sat at a picnic table with Anna, unpacking a modest lunch. A ham sandwich wrapped in wax paper, apple slices, a bottle of juice. Anna's hair was done in neat braids now, and she wore a hand-me-down denim jacket a size too large. She looked stronger today, more centered. But Marcus still noticed how her eyes flicked around constantly, the way she held herself small, like trying not to take up space. He remembered that look. He used to wear it himself. You're early, Emily said, walking up to him. I've been early to everything that matters, Marcus replied. She looked at him for a beat, then gestured toward the table. She doesn't know you're joining us. I told her a friend wanted to meet her again. Nothing more. Marcus nodded. His throat felt tight. That's fair. Just be yourself, Emily added. She's sharp. She'll see through anything fake. I wouldn't know how to be anyone else around her, he said. And they walked together toward the table. Anna looked up as they approached, her face lighting up in cautious surprise. You came back. I said I would, Marcus said, easing down onto the bench across from her. You're not wearing the fancy coat today, she said, squinting at his hoodie. He chuckled. It's in the dry cleaner's witness protection program. Anna giggled, then offered him an apple slice. Emily raised an eyebrow, impressed. Marcus took it and bit in, savoring not the fruit but the gesture. So, he said between bites. What's on the lunch menu today? Grandma's old-school ham sandwich, Anna said. No mustard. No mayo. Just bread, meat, and survival. Marcus nodded. Classic depression, era cuisine. Anna smiled again, this time wider. The shadows under her eyes looked a little less heavy. They talked for nearly an hour. Marcus asked about her favorite books, Charlotte's Web and the BFG. He told her he loved those too when he was her age, which earned him an approving nod. When she asked what he did for work, he paused, unsure how to explain venture capitalism to a 6-year-old. He finally said, I help people build things. Like Legos? Kind of, he smiled. But more expensive and less colorful. Anna glanced between him and Emily, her brow furrowing. Did you two used to be friends? Emily hesitated. Marcus answered gently. Yes. A long time ago. Did you stop being friends because you were mad? Marcus looked at Emily. No, he said softly. Because I made a mistake. Anna seemed to accept that. She finished her juice box, then turned serious. Why did you help me in the park that day? Because I saw someone who reminded me of myself, Marcus said truthfully, and because no one should cry alone. Anna looked down. I get made fun of a lot. I know, he said. But those kids? They don't get to tell you who you are. Emily watched them both, arms folded tightly, like shielding herself from how fast this was moving. As they cleaned up, Anna asked, Can he come again next week? Emily glanced at Marcus, surprised. He held her gaze. Only if your mom says it's okay. Emily hesitated, then nodded slowly. 1 hour. Sunday afternoon. Huh. Anna gave a tiny fist pump. Yes. They parted ways shortly after. Marcus walked the long way back through the park, head full. The air carried the scent of roasted chestnuts from a vendor cart. Children shrieked nearby in a game of tag, and yet, in the midst of all the life around him, he felt the creeping presence of a question he couldn't silence. What if she's mine? That night, Marcus stood at the window of his penthouse, staring out at the city he had conquered. But the power that once thrilled him now felt like weight. Everything had changed since Anna said his name. He opened a drawer in his study and pulled out an envelope marked private. Inside was a swab kit. He had ordered it immediately after seeing Anna. But now he held it like it was dynamite. He hesitated, then uncapped the swab and rubbed it along the inside of his cheek. He placed it into the small vial, sealed it, and stared at it a long moment before labeling it. Marcus Black. Ha texted Lena. Send this to Gene Point overnight. Top priority. Quietly. No press. No internal chatter. I'll deal with what comes. Her reply came quickly. Understood. I'll personally handle it. Marcus leaned back and exhaled. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about quarterly goals or investor calls. He was thinking about a little girl with smart eyes and an old soul who deserved to know the truth, even if it broke him. The following Sunday, the park was quieter. Fewer children ran between the trees. The clouds had settled into a gray hush above Manhattan, casting everything in a soft, overcast light. Marcus arrived early, again habit, nerves, or both. He waited near the same picnic table, holding a small paper bag from Delaney's bakery, the one famous for its warm apple fritters and cinnamon buns. He remembered Emily had once loved those fritters when they first dated back before she learned how tightly the corporate world gripped his every waking hour. When Emily and Anna arrived, Anna immediately grinned and rushed toward him. You're early again, she said, her coat flapping open in the breeze. I had a feeling someone might appreciate pastries, he said, holding up the bag. Emily walked a few paces behind, slower this time. Less guarded, but still watching. Anna climbed up to the bench, peeled back the bag, and pulled out a warm fritter. This smells like heaven, Marcus chuckled. That's the sugar talking. As Anna munched happily, Emily sat down across from him, folding her arms. Bribery now? He met her Chaza, just breakfast. She narrowed her eyes, but the tension between them had thawed just enough for civility. They chatted small talk mostly. Anna recounted her week at school, including a science project that involved planting beans in wet cotton balls. Marcus listened intently, laughing in the right places, nodding where it mattered. He made no movies, no assumptions. After about 45 minutes, Emily rose. Anna, go check out the pond. Stay where I can see you. Anna dashed off, fritter in hand. Emily sat back down, glancing sideways at Marcus. So, she said, have you decided what this is? Marcus paused. I'm not here to make speeches. I'm just trying to show up. You're a billionaire, Marcus. You could snap your fingers and buy her a school, a house, a future. But that's not the same as showing up. He nodded. I know, and I'm not offering money. Good, she said firmly. Because I don't need your guilt or your bank account. Marcus leaned forward. I'm not coming from guilt. I'm coming from loss. Emily looked away, jaw tightening. You don't get to use grief like currency. He nodded again. I'm not trying to buy her, Emily. She turned to face him, eyes tired but steady. Then what are you trying to do? Make room, he said softly. For whatever this might be. I know I missed 6 years. That's on me. But I'm not missing another 6. Emily looked down at her hands. She picked at a chipped nail. You weren't ready back then. I see that now. But I had to do what was best for her. I had to protect her from becoming just another name in a scandal. Or worse, a photo op. I understand, Marcus said. I didn't then, but I do now. The truth was, he'd had a press team of 12, a global brand to protect, and no room for uncertainty. And Emily had known that better than anyone. I kept thinking, she said quietly, about all the ways your world could crush her. The expectations, the cameras, the whispers. Marcus sighed. I don't want to give her that world. I want to help her build her own. They sat in silence. In the distance, Anna threw bits of pastry to the ducks. Then, out of nowhere, Emily asked, Did you do it? He looked at her, surprised. The test, she clarified. DNA. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. The results come back tomorrow. Emily exhaled slowly. You know, part of me hoped you wouldn't, that maybe you'd just drift off again. He tilted his head. Is that really what you want? No, she said, almost inaudibly. But I don't want her hurt. If you're in this, you need to mean it, because she's not some side plot in your life. I do mean it, he said. Whatever the test says. I'm not walking away. They both looked out toward the pond, where Anna now crouched, trying to coax a pigeon closer with crumbs. She's like you, Marcus murmured. Quiet, observant. She sees everything. Emily nodded. And she never forgets. A long moment passed. Emily rose again. Come next week, she said. But don't bring pastries. Bring yourself. Marcus stood as well. You have my word. She looked at him, softened, and then turned to call Anna. As they walked away, Anna waved, the last piece of fritter in her hand. See you next Sunday, she called. Marcus raised a hand in reply, something warm and sharp tugging inside his chest. He watched them go. A woman who once loved him enough to leave, and a little girl who might carry half his blood. Back in his apartment that night, Marcus couldn't sleep. The test results would arrive in less than 12 hours. He stood at the window again, hands resting on the cold glass. Please, he whispered, let her be mine. But even as he said it, he knew the truth. She already was. Monday morning arrived with the quiet hum of inevitability. Marcus sat at the breakfast counter of his penthouse, untouched coffee cooling beside him. Laptop open, inbox blinking. The email from GenePoint was there, subject line clean and clinical. Paternity test results, confidential. His hand hovered over the trackpad. He'd stared at the screen for nearly 10 minutes, every scenario playing through his mind. What if it wasn't true? What if he had read into her eyes what he wanted to see, not what was real? And worse, what if it was true? What then? A future rewritten. Expectations born overnight. With a steadying breath, he clicked. The document opened, and 2 lines in, the world shifted. Probability of paternity, 99.997%. Conclusion, Marcus Black is the biological father of Anna Thompson. He let the air leave his lungs in a slow, deliberate exhale. She's mine. A strange warmth flooded his chest. Not relief, not fear. Something deeper ownership, not of a person, but of a responsibility long overdue. For 6 years, he had built empires, and for 6 years, she had been growing without him. The thought gripped his stomach. He stood up and walked toward the window, forehead pressed lightly against the cool glass. What now? Later that afternoon, Marcus stood outside Emily's brownstone in Harlem, the DNA envelope in his coat pocket. He had called ahead. She had said only, "Come after school. She's here today." The door opened before he knocked. Emily stood in the frame, hair pulled back, face unreadable. "I got the email," she said flatly. Marcus nodded. "So did I." She stepped aside, letting him in without another word. Inside, the apartment was warm, modest, lived in. A hallway led to a cozy living room with bookshelves full of worn paperbacks, a fireplace surrounded by framed photos, and a soft scent of lavender and cinnamon lingering in the air. Anna sat cross-legged on the floor, colored pencils scattered around her, a half-finished drawing of ducks on the pond before her. When she saw Marcus, her face brightened. "You came. I said I would," he replied, crouching beside her. Emily remained standing, arms folded. "I was drawing the duck with the weird leg," Anna explained, holding up the sketch. "You know, the one who walks sideways." Marcus smiled. "The rebel duck. I like him." Anna giggled. He's the fastest swimmer, even with the weird foot. Marcus glanced up at Emily. Her eyes met his, uncertain. Anna, he said carefully. Can we talk for a minute? The girl paused, sensing the shift in tone. She nodded and sat up straighter. Marcus took a deep breath. Do you remember when you asked if I was like you? In the park? Anna nodded slowly. Well, he said, voice softening. I found out something important. Something real. Something that matters. Her eyes widened. Like what? I hesitated. I'm your dad, Anna. Silence. The kind that fills every corner of a room. Anna blinked. You mean, like, really? For sure? Marcus nodded. We did a test, the kind grown-ups do when they want to be certain, and the answer is yes. Anna looked to her mother, whose expression had softened but still held that fierce protectiveness. Emily stepped forward and knelt beside her daughter. I wanted to wait until we were sure, she said gently. But yes, sweetie. He's your father. Anna didn't speak. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She looked between them, her eyes glistening, and then whispered, So you're not just being nice to me. You're mine? Marcus's throat tightened. He nodded. I'm yours, and you're mine. Then, with a small sob, Anna threw her arms around his neck. He caught her, holding her carefully, as if she were made of glass and memory. Emily turned away for a moment, brushing her cheek. When Anna pulled back, she looked at him with awe. Do I have your last name? No, Emily answered gently. You've always had mine. Anna frowned. Can I have both? Marcus smiled through damp eyes. If that's what you want. She nodded fiercely. I want both. Meh. They spent the next hour at the kitchen table, Anna peppering Marcus with questions about his job, his favorite color, what he was like when he was 6. I had a big head and bad handwriting, he admitted, and I hated carrots. Me too, she cried as if this sealed their bond. Later, when Anna was busy watching a cartoon in the next room, Emily poured 2 cups of tea and slid one to Marcus across the table. She's strong, she said quietly. She gets that from you. Vaz. Emily looked down into her cup. I didn't want this to be messy. I didn't want it to be like a court case or a press release. It won't be, Marcus assured her. I'm not going public. This is between us, between her and me. She's never called anyone dad before, Emily said, her voice breaking slightly. You heard what she said. You're mine. I know, he whispered. I'll earn it. Every day. Emily looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Slowly. You have a lot to make up for. I'm not asking for a clean slate, he said. Just a path forward. And for the first time in years, they sat in the same silence, not broken. Not bitter. Just full. Full of a new beginning. Full of a name reclaimed. Full of something stronger than guilt or fear. Family. The following Saturday evening, Marcus found himself pacing his sleek, marble-floored kitchen, more anxious than he'd ever been before a board meeting. The long, dark walnut dining table was set with quiet elegance, no flashy centerpieces, just polished silverware, cloth napkins, and a home-cooked meal he had personally requested from his longtime chef. Gloria, he said, glancing nervously at the oven timer. Do you think kids eat roasted chicken with rosemary? The older woman raised an eyebrow, wiping her hands on her apron. Mr. Black, kids eat anything when someone listens to them while they chew. He smirked, but his hands were still restless. I just want tonight to feel normal. Well, she said, normal's not on the menu, but love is. That's what she'll taste. Just then, the building's private elevator chimed. Marcus turned toward the front hallway, heart thudding. He checked his reflection in the hallway mirror, shirt tucked, collar clean, nothing too sharp. He'd traded the tailored suit for slacks and a sweater. He wanted to look like a man, not a mogul. The door opened, and there they were. Emily, wearing a simple navy coat, and Anna, gripping a small backpack and wearing sneakers with purple laces. Hi, Marcus said, his voice a little too soft. Anna stepped forward. Are we really eating dinner at the top of the building? Marcus smiled. Only 17 stories. You'll still be able to see the pizza guy on the street. Anna giggled and stepped inside, eyes wide as she scanned the space. It's so big. Emily offered a tight but polite smile. She's been asking about this all week. Me too, Marcus said, catching Emily's gaze for a moment longer than necessary. Anna wandered through the living room, stopping at a photo on the mantel, a black and white image of a woman in a kitchen, flour on her cheeks, laughing. Who's this? She asked. My grandmother, Marcus said, walking over. Annabelle Black. You're named after her. Anna's mouth made a perfect O. She looks funny. She was funny, he said, and tough. She used to say, you don't stir the pot unless you're ready to taste what's cooking. Anna laughed and looked up at him. I like her. Dinner was warm, real. Marcus surprised himself with how easily conversation flowed. Anna talked about a girl at school who brought cookies shaped like cats. Marcus told her he once ate a cricket in Thailand by accident. Emily listened, occasionally chiming in, sometimes just watching. But then came the test. Anna set down her fork. So, if you're my dad, what does that mean now? Marcus leaned forward, elbows on the table. It means I want to be here. I want to show up. It means I'm not going away again. Anna frowned slightly. Do I move here? Do I call you Dad now? What if I forget? He reached out, palm up. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for. We'll figure it out together. Anna studied his hand, then placed hers in it, small, warm, unsure. Emily cleared her throat. She's asked about holidays. What happens when she has two homes now? Marcus glanced at her. We'll talk about it. All three of us. No courtrooms, no lawyers, just people who love her. Anna looked up. Do you still love Mommy? The question hung in the air like a fragile ornament. Emily stiffened. Marcus blinked. I always did, he said carefully. But sometimes love alone isn't enough. People can love each other and still not stay together. Anna nodded slowly, processing it in her own 6-year-old way. But you both love me? She asked. Emily leaned in. More than anything in the world. Marcus smiled. Forever and always. Anna breathed out and smiled, then went back to her mashed potatoes as if that settled the universe. Later, after dessert, warm banana bread and vanilla ice cream, Anna curled up on the couch with a blanket and one of Marcus's old books, The Little Prince. She read quietly while Emily helped Marcus clear the table. She's adjusting better than I expected, Emily admitted, placing a glass into the sink. She's extraordinary, Marcus said. That's you. Emily turned to him. And she's curious. Determined. Sharp. That's you. They stood there, not quite touching, but close. Thank you for letting me have tonight, Marcus said. Emily looked at him, soft but firm. It's not a favor. It's her right. He nodded. Still, thank you. After a while, Emily gathered Anna's things. As they prepared to leave, Anna turned to Marcus and whispered, Can I come back next week? You never have to ask, he said. She reached up and hugged him. Not tight, not long, but real. Then she pulled back and added, Good night, Daddy. He froze. Emily froze. And for a heartbeat, the room held its breath. Marcus knelt to eye level. Good night, Anna. The elevator doors closed with a soft chime. Marcus stood there for a long time, staring at the empty space where they had just stood, the echo of a single word, Daddy, still alive in the air. The next week passed like a slow dance, every step deliberate, every breath rehearsed. Marcus adjusted his schedule around Anna's school hours, declining interviews, delaying meetings. His world, once dictated by shareholder demands, now revolved around spelling tests and bedtime stories. He showed up every Wednesday afternoon to walk Anna home with Emily. Sometimes he brought a book. Other times, her favorite chocolate chip muffin from the corner bakery. But mostly, he brought his presents, and that was enough. One Wednesday, as they walked past the tall oaks lining the sidewalk, Anna asked, Did you ever get into trouble when you were a kid? Marcus smiled. Only when I got caught. She giggled. Like what? I once threw a snowball at Principal McNeely's car. Didn't realize she was still inside it. Anna gasped, half in shock, half in admiration. Did she yell at you? No, he said. She called my grandmother. Uh-oh. She made me clean the entire school entrance with a toothbrush. Anna laughed so hard she had to stop walking. Emily watched them from a few steps behind. Her expression unreadable, but her eyes warm. That evening, Marcus received a call from Lena. I've been holding off press inquiries for 2 weeks now, she said, but one of the tabloids got a whiff. Some photographer caught you walking hand in hand with a young girl. Marcus exhaled. How bad is it? They're speculating. Some are calling her your goddaughter. Others think you adopted a child in secret. A few dug into Emily's name, but nothing solid. He paced his office. We keep it quiet. This isn't a headline. It's her life. Lena paused. You do realize that won't last forever? I know, he said, but while we have time, we protect her. The next morning, at Anna's school, things started to unravel. Marcus had arrived early to surprise her for lunch. He carried a paper bag with grilled cheese and tomato soup from her favorite diner. But when he reached the school's office, he saw Emily already there, standing stiffly near the front desk, arms crossed tightly, lips pressed thin. Principal Harper, a balding man in his 50s with a tie that never quite sat right, was murmuring to her in hushed tones. When Marcus entered, Emily turned sharply. Her eyes were burning. What happened? He asked. Emily's voice was cold. Someone left a note in Anna's cubby. Marcus stiffened. What kind of note? Principal Harper cleared his throat awkwardly. A comment. About her family. A crude one. Emily pulled a crumpled paper from her purse and handed it to Marcus. He read it once, then again. It was written in a child's messy scrawl, but unmistakably cruel. Your daddy's rich, but your skin still looks like dirt. The words hit like a gut punch. Marcus felt his jaw tighten, his breath shorten. Who wrote this? We're looking into it, Harper said quickly. We don't tolerate bullying. Marcus cut him off. Do you tolerate racism? The principal blinked. Of course not. Then don't use soft words. Call it what it is. Emily stepped between them. We're taking her home for the day. Marcus nodded. I'll handle the press. You handle Anna. Back at the apartment, Anna sat quietly on the couch, cradling a stuffed bear, not touching her sandwich. Her eyes, once full of light, now looked dulled like a switch had been flipped. I thought I was special, she whispered. Marcus knelt beside her. You are. They said, even if you're my dad, I don't belong. Because I don't look like you. His heart cracked. You're perfect, he said, placing a hand over hers. You belong because you're you. And no one gets to decide your worth based on skin. She looked down. Then why did it hurt so much? Because words can bruise, he said. But they don't define. You define you. Emily stood in the doorway, watching them. She walked over and sat beside Anna, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Baby, she said gently. You come from strength. You've got your grandmother's heart, your dad's fire, and your own voice, and we're going to teach you how to use it. Anna leaned into her mother, silent but steadier. That night, after Anna fell asleep on the couch, Marcus and Emily sat on the balcony. The city spread before them in twinkling lights. She's going to face more of this, Emily said quietly. It won't be the last time. I know, Marcus replied. And she's going to need more than muffins and bedtime stories. He looked at her. Then I'll give her everything I didn't have. Courage, truth, a seat at every table. Emily exhaled, long and heavy. I'm scared. So am I, he admitted. But not of them. I'm scared of not being enough for her. Emily turned to face him. Then don't disappear. Be present. Be loud. Not just in boardrooms, Marcus. In her room. He nodded, solemn. Every step of the way. Inside, Anna stirred, murmuring in her sleep. Marcus looked through the glass at her small form beneath the blanket and whispered to the night. No one gets to write her story but us. It was a crisp Saturday morning when Marcus took Anna by the hand and led her into a building most children never entered. They stepped through the glass doors of Black & Finch Holdings, his corporate headquarters, the sleek marble lobby gleaming beneath the sunlight streaming in. Employees passing through froze as they noticed their boss, not in a suit, but in jeans and a black hoodie, holding the hand of a young girl with braided hair and sparkly sneakers. Anna clutched a small notebook under her arm, her eyes wide as she took in the high ceilings, the quiet hum of escalators, and the enormous steel sculpture twisting through the center atrium. "Do people work here every day?" she asked. "5 days a week," Marcus replied with a smile. "Unless they work with the Australians, then it feels like 8. She giggled, bouncing slightly with each step. "Are we going to your office?" "Yes," he said. "But first, I want to show you something." He led her to the executive wing, past a row of frosted glass doors labeled with titles: Coup, Legal Affairs, Investment Strategy. They stopped before a door at the very end. The gold letters across the glass read, Marcus Black, CEO. He crouched beside her. "See that name?" She nodded. "It's yours. Soon, it won't be the only one." Anna's eyebrows lifted. "What do you mean?" He stood and opened the door. Inside was a massive office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. The walls were lined with shelves of books, photos from charity missions abroad, and awards he never mentioned. But today, the only thing that mattered sat on the corner of his desk, a black leather chair child, sized. Anna blinked. "Is that for me?" Marcus walked over and gently pulled it back. "Come here." She walked slowly, cautiously, and sat down. Her feet didn't touch the floor, but her hands gripped the armrests like a queen assuming her throne. "I want you to know," Marcus said, kneeling beside her again. "This place isn't just mine anymore. One day, if you want it, it can be yours too. You don't have to run a company, but I want you to know that everything I've built, every room, every board, every table has a seat waiting for you." Anna looked around, then whispered, "Even if I'm still little?" He smiled. "Especially because you are. Because little girls become big voices." She looked down at her notebook, opened it, and showed him a drawing, 2 people holding hands on a bridge, with the words written in a wobbly scrawl. "Me and Dad. Not scared anymore." He swallowed hard, throat tight. "That's the best thing I've ever seen." Later, as they walked back through the building, employees turned to watch. One woman, a longtime receptionist named Kira, whispered, "Is that?" Lena, who stood by the elevator, answered without hesitation. "Yes, that's Anna Black." Marcus heard it, and something clicked into place. Not Marcus's daughter, not just Emily's child, not a secret, not a headline. Anna Black. They rode the elevator down, side by side. And as the doors opened to the lobby, Anna asked, "Can I come back next weekend?" He smiled. "We'll make it a tradition." That evening, back at Emily's apartment, Anna sat cross-legged on the floor, retelling every detail of her day while coloring in her sketchpad. Emily watched from the kitchen, mixing salad while sneaking glances. "He said I can be the boss one day," Anna beamed. "Did he now?" Emily said, raising an eyebrow. "Yup, and I got my own chair." Emily walked over and knelt beside her daughter. "Do you want to be the boss one day?" Anna paused, tapping her pencil to her lip. "Maybe. Or a vet, or a painter, or a duck trainer." Emily laughed. "That's quite a list." Anna shrugged. "He said I don't have to decide now, just that I always have a seat." Emily's heart softened. "That sounds like something a good father would say." Anna tilted her head. "Mom, you're okay with it, right? Me being his kid?" Emily nodded slowly. "Sweetheart, you've always been his kid, whether I wanted it or not. But now, I'm starting to believe maybe he's ready to be yours too." Anna leaned into her mother's arms. "I think I'm ready." Later that night, after Anna had fallen asleep, Emily stood by the window, sipping tea, when her phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. "Thank you for today, for trusting me, for letting her in." She typed back. She didn't need permission. She's always been yours. But she needed proof. "Today, you gave her that." A pause. Then another message. "I want to make it official. I want to add my name to hers legally. Emily stared at the screen. Her fingers hovered. Are you sure? She is. She looked over at her daughter, breathing steadily under the blanket. Then she typed, "Then let's begin." Outside, the city moved on its noise, its hurry, its neon. But inside, something had slowed down. Something had settled. A name, a bund, a promise. Anna Black. The following Monday, Marcus stood outside the New York family court building with his overcoat buttoned tight and a manila folder in his hand. The sky was a muted gray, the wind biting at his collar, but he barely noticed the cold. Every cell in his body buzzed with a strange cocktail of nerves and resolve. Inside the folder were the official papers, the petition to amend Anna's birth certificate and legally add his name, Marcus Elias Black. He checked his watch. 10 minutes early. Of course. Then he saw them. Emily approached from across the plaza, bundled in a soft burgundy scarf, her arm linked with Anna's. Anna wore her favorite yellow coat, her hair tied in 2 neat braids, and a grin so wide it nearly split her face. "You ready?" Marcus asked. Anna beamed. "Mom says this is history." Marcus chuckled. She's not wrong. They entered the courthouse together, the polished floors echoing under their steps. The hallway smelled faintly of coffee and floor wax. The waiting area was sparsely populated, mostly tired parents and restless children. Emily had chosen to represent themselves. No lawyers, no press, no unnecessary noise. They sat on the wooden bench outside room 214, where a judge would read their file, ask a few questions, and if satisfied, sign a piece of paper that would forever rewrite Anna's identity in the eyes of the law. Anna swung her legs as she sat between them. "What if the judge says no?" Emily smiled softly. "Then we go back in with louder voices." Marcus leaned in. "But we won't need to. The truth is loud enough." The door creaked open. A clerk poked his head out. "Black Thompson family?" They stood and walked in. The hearing room was small and unadorned. A single wooden desk faced the bench where a female judge in her 60s sat with half-moon glasses and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Good morning," she said, scanning the file. "I'm Judge Penelope Kravitz. You're here for a name addition and recognition of paternity." "Yes, Your Honor," Emily said calmly. The judge looked over the rim of her glasses. "Mr. Black." A bit of a high-profile petitioner. Marcus offered a polite nod. "Yes, ma'am, but today, I'm just a father." Judge Kravitz smiled faintly at that. "Miss Anna, do you know why you're here?" Anna nodded, hands folded neatly. "So, my name can match my heart." The judge's brow lifted. "And what does your heart say?" "That he's my dad," Anna said, pointing to Marcus. "And I want the world to know." The judge leaned back, touched by the simplicity. "Well, Miss Anna, the world listens to people who speak from the heart." She reviewed the DNA documentation, Marcus's signed statement of voluntary paternity, and Emily's consent. "No objections. All legal grounds are satisfied," Judge Kravitz said. "But I like to ask one question before I sign." They waited. "Why now?" Marcus inhaled deeply. "Because I wasn't ready before. I failed to be there when she took her first steps, or lost her first tooth, or spoke her first word. But I won't fail again. And adding my name doesn't erase the past, but it builds a bridge to the future." The judge studied him, then turned to Emily. "Do you agree?" Emily's voice was steady. "I do." The judge nodded. "Very well." With a practiced hand, she signed the papers and handed them to the clerk. "Congratulations, Miss Anna Black Thompson. Your name now matches your heart." "One." Anna's face lit up. Marcus reached out his hand, and she grabbed it tightly. They walked out of the room as a family, not a perfect one, not a traditional one, but a real one. That evening, back at Marcus's penthouse, he hosted a small dinner for just the 3 of them. Gloria baked Anna a special cake with gold lettering that read, "Officially ours, forever yours." They clinked glasses of sparkling apple cider and toasted to new beginnings. As the night wound down, Marcus tucked Anna into the guest room they had slowly turned into her room. Lavender walls, shelves for her art, a window seat where she could sit and read. "Daddy?" she asked sleepily. "Yes, baby? Can we visit Grandma's grave sometime? The one I'm named after?" He paused, surprised, then smiled gently. Of course. She'd want to meet you. Anna yawned. I think she'd like me. She'd love you. Maybe I'll draw her a picture. You should, Marcus whispered. She'd hang it in the stars. She closed her eyes, and within minutes, drifted off. Marcus stood at the door for a long while, watching her sleep. A part of him still couldn't believe this was real, that he had been granted this second chance. That her laugh echoed in his home now. Not just in his dreams. Later that night, he and Emily sat in the kitchen, the city glittering beyond the window. She wants to visit your grandmother, Emily said, sipping tea. I know. I think it's time. Emily looked at him. You're different. Marcus. He met her eyes. So are you. She smiled softly. Parenthood has a way of sanding down sharp edges. He leaned back in his chair. Or making you brave enough to dull them yourself. They sat in silence for a beat. Then Emily whispered. You know, she told her teacher today she feels real now. Marcus swallowed. She always was. She knows that now. They raised their glasses one last time. To truth, Emily said. To belonging, Marcus added. And outside, the stars burned quietly, as if the universe itself had witnessed a bond reforged, a family rebuilt, and a name finally earned. The headlines came quietly at first. Mogul Marcus Black adds name to daughter's birth certificate. From boardroom to bedtime stories, the private life of a billionaire. Black legacy, meet Anna Black Thompson. Though Marcus had asked his PR team to keep the details out of the spotlight, the world had its own appetite. The adoption filing, though not contested, had become public record, and where his name went, attention followed. By the following Thursday, paparazzi were posted outside Anna's school. Emily called Marcus, voice tense, trying to hide the fear that trembled beneath. They were waiting by the gates, Marcus. Cameras, microphones. One of them asked her if she felt lucky to be rescued. He was silent for a second too long. Then, I'm on my way. Emily hung up. When Marcus arrived at her building, Anna sat curled on the couch, her knees tucked into her chest, a bag of frozen peas on her forehead, not for an injury, but to quiet the noise in her head, as she said. Emily stood beside her, arms folded, eyes sharp. She's shaken, she said. Marcus knelt beside Anna. Hey. Anna looked up, face pale. They had big cameras. One man shouted at me. I dropped my lunch. His fists clenched. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Why are they watching me? I didn't do anything. He exhaled, steadying himself. Because some people think being near someone with money or power makes you interesting. But they're wrong. You're interesting because you're you. Not because of me. Emily knelt down beside them. We need to do something. This can't be normal for her. Marcus stood. I'll call a meeting tonight. No cameras, no questions, just me and the press. Emily looked at him warily. Are you sure? Yes. It's time they hear the truth from me. That evening, Marcus sat in front of a semicircle of press representatives in the media room of his corporate headquarters. No stage, no backdrop, no frills, just a man in a gray sweater, a table, and a picture of Anna resting on the screen behind him. I asked you here because I want to be clear. He began. Voice calm but firm. 6 weeks ago, I discovered I had a daughter, Anna. I wasn't there for her birth. I didn't know she existed. That's no one's fault but mine. Flashbulbs flickered. A few reporters raised their brows. Since then, he continued, I've tried to build something real with her. Not headlines. Not PR. A life. She's 6. She likes pancakes, shaped like turtles. Refuses to wear socks that match. And wants to be a duck trainer when she grows up. A few chuckles broke the tension. She's not a story. She's not a trend. And she doesn't need to be rescued. What she needs and what every child deserves is safety, dignity, and peace. He paused. The room was silent. I'm asking no. I'm demanding that you respect her childhood. You can write what you want about me. My business. My suits. My love life. But leave her out of it. She is not for sale. She is not content. She is my daughter. A beat. Then a wave of hands went up. Marcus pointed to one woman. Yes? Is she legally your daughter now? She always was, he said. Now the paperwork agrees. Another hand. Do you plan to bring her into your business? If she wants, he said, or not. My job is to build doors. Her job is to decide which ones to walk through. After 10 minutes, he stood. That's all. Thank you. As he exited the room, Lena fell into step beside him. That was the most human I've ever seen you. He glanced at her. I'm not interested in being anything else anymore. Back home, Emily and Anna were watching from the couch. Anna had her knees drawn up again, clutching her stuffed bear. As the last words echoed from the television screen, she looked at her mom. He said, I'm not for sale, she murmured. Emily brushed a braid from her face. Because you're priceless. Anna looked down. Do you think they'll stop now? Emily pulled her close. Maybe not all at once, but they'll think twice. Anna laid her head on her mother's shoulder. I just want to go to school and draw pictures. I know, baby, Emily whispered. And you will. 2 days later, Anna returned to school with Marcus by her side. They walked through the gate without incident, but whispers trailed them. That's the girl. Is that really him? She's so lucky. Anna heard every word. Inside the classroom, her teacher, Miss Delaney, welcomed her with a warm smile. We missed you, Anna. Anna nodded shyly and sat at her desk. A boy 2 rows behind her leaned over to whisper something. But Miss Delaney caught it. No whispers today, she said sharply. Only kindness. Anna looked down at her notebook. She began to draw a bridge again, but this time, there were 2 figures, not just her and her dad. Her mom was there too, and behind them, a crowd of tiny faces watching from a distance. Some were smiling, some weren't, but none were close enough to matter. She titled the picture, Us. Outside, Marcus waited by the school gate, hands in his coat pockets. He didn't need to go in. She had already built her own seat at the table, and now, she was learning to defend it. Marcus hadn't visited the South Bronx in nearly 20 years. The air smelled of concrete and history, the sidewalks cracked in the same familiar places. The corner bodega still had faded signage, and the fire hydrant near the alleyway he used to sneak through as a teenager was still there, rusted but standing. He stepped out of his car alone, dressed down in jeans and a navy jacket. No entourage, no cameras. This wasn't for show. This was for Anna. She had asked about his childhood, where he was raised, who his parents were, and why she'd never met them. He hadn't answered. Not fully. But now, it was time. He made his way up the chipped stairs of the brick apartment building where he was born. 3rd floor, 2nd door on the left. He knocked. After a few seconds, the door opened to reveal a short woman with graying curls and tired eyes. She squinted, then gasped, Lord have mercy, Marcus? He, Aunt Ruth. She blinked in disbelief. I thought you were too rich to remember this place. I never forgot, he said softly. She stepped aside. Well, get in before someone recognizes you and sells the story. Inside, the apartment hadn't changed. Same crocheted doilies, same smell of lemon polish and old secrets. They sat across from each other in the living room, a single fan humming in the corner. Why are you here? She asked, hands folded tightly. I have a daughter, Marcus said. Her eyebrows shot up. You? He nodded. Her name's Anna. She's 6, and she looks a lot like Mama did when she was little. Ruth softened, but her tone stayed sharp. So why now? After all this time, I want her to know where she comes from, the truth, the full story. Ruth leaned back, eyes narrowing. You sure about that? Some truths come with scars. I've lived those scars, Marcus said, but she deserves to understand. Ruth studied him for a long moment, then stood and walked to a cabinet. She pulled out a dusty photo album and dropped it on the table. Then start here. He opened it slowly. Faded photos. His mother, Annabelle, in her church dress. His father, stoic in army fatigues. Him, a lanky boy with wild hair and fierce eyes. He pointed. That's the day Mama made me promise I'd never let the world tell me who I was. She'd be proud you kept that promise, Ruth said. I didn't. Not always, he admitted. But Anna, she's helping me remember. Ruth looked at him carefully. You're doing right by her? I'm trying. Every day. She smiled faintly. Then maybe you did better than you thought. As he stood to leave, she handed him the album. Take it. Let her see her roots. Back at the penthouse, Anna was working on a new school project, My Family Tree. She sat at the dining table, crayons scattered around her, construction paper half folded into shapes. When Marcus returned, he placed the photo album in front of her. Her eyes widened. What's this? Your family, he said. The part of the tree I haven't told you about yet. She opened the first page, her little fingers tracing the images. Is this your mom? Yep, that's your great-grandma Annabelle. You were named after her. Anna smiled. She looks brave. She was, Marcus said. She worked 2 jobs, raised me alone, and never let anyone tell her what her boy couldn't become. Anna turned the pages slowly. Is this you with the big glasses? He laughed. Unfortunately, they went through the album together, moment by moment. Marcus told her about nights sleeping near the radiator, days dodging trouble on the block, and how it felt to win his first scholarship and know there was a way out. But I never came back, he whispered. Until now. Anna tilted her head. Why not? I was afraid the world I left behind would make me small again. She touched his hand. You're not small, you're my dad. He smiled through the ache in his chest. Later that night, after Anna had gone to sleep, Marcus found Emily on the balcony, sipping chamomile tea. She's already asleep? She asked. Out cold, he said. Too many crayons. Emily laughed. Then she noticed the photo album in his hand. You went back. He nodded. I needed to. She looked at him with quiet respect. What did you find? My aunt. Memories. Ghosts. Emily paused. And peace? Marcus thought for a long moment. Not yet, but I'm closer. They stood side by side. The city below them glittering like 1,000 dreams. For the first time in a long while, Marcus felt like a man bridging 2 worlds, the boy who survived, and the father who now built. I want to take Anna there, he said, to show her. She's ready, Emily replied. And so are you. He looked at her, full of something quiet and strong. Thank you. For never making me prove myself with words. Just actions. Emily's voice was low. You're doing the hardest work there is, Marcus. Becoming. And inside, in a room filled with paper leaves and colored roots, Anna's family tree slowly took shape branch by branch, name by name. Proof that no matter where you start, you can always grow toward the light. The knock came on a quiet Sunday morning. Marcus had just finished flipping pancakes, his hair still slightly damp from a rushed shower. Emily sat at the kitchen island sipping coffee, while Anna colored beside her, tongue poking out slightly in concentration. 3 firm knocks. Not frantic, not tentativa, just deliberate. He wiped his hands and opened the door. Standing there was a tall man in his late 60s, dressed in a pressed charcoal overcoat. His skin was weathered, his posture straight. But it was the eyes, those steely gray eyes, that stopped Marcus cold. Marcus Elias Black, the man said with a voice like gravel and thunder. It's been a long time. Marcus took a step back, his breath catching in his throat. Dad? Emily stood from the counter, immediately alert. Anna looked up, confused, watching the energy shift in the room like animals sensing a storm. You're supposed to be dead, Marcus said, barely above a whisper. John Black raised a brow. Not quite. Just gone. Huh. Marcus didn't know whether to slam the door or fall into the man's arms. Instead, he stepped aside. Come in. Emily ushered Anna toward her room. Why don't we go finish your castle drawing, sweetheart? But who's? Anna started, but Emily gently guided her out, closing the hallway door behind them. John took in the space. The modern art. The clean lines. The family photos. You've done well, he said simply. Marcus folded his arms. That's a hell of an understatement for someone who disappeared for 30 years. John sat without being invited. I didn't disappear. I left. Big difference. You left your wife, your son, your life. I left a battlefield, John said, and I wasn't strong enough to fight anymore. Marcus clenched his jaw. She begged you to stay. She cried herself to sleep every night. She worked herself to death so I could eat. I know. You know? John nodded, his voice now soft. I watched from a distance. I sent money when I could. Marcus shook his head. Coward's charity. Silence fell heavy between them. John leaned forward. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. Good, Marcus shot back, because I don't have any to give. But I'm here, John continued, because I saw the news. The girl. The name. And I wouldn't let another black child grow up without knowing where she came from. Marcus stiffened. You don't get to speak her name. Humbly. Her name is Anna, John said evenly. Named after your mother. And I came because maybe, just maybe, she deserves better than the silence we gave you. Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. John stood slowly. I want to meet her. Not today. Not even this month. But someday. You tell her the truth. All of it. I'll wait. He turned to go, then paused at the door. I was a coward. I ran from responsibility. From pain. From myself. But I see you now raising her with courage I never had. He looked Marcus in the eyes. She's lucky, not because you're rich, but because you stayed. Then he was gone. That night, after Anna had fallen asleep, Marcus stood in the kitchen staring out at the skyline. Emily joined him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. You okay? He took a long breath. That was my father. She said nothing at first, just held him. I hated him, Marcus whispered. I built my entire identity on not being him, but now he's back. Emily said gently, just like that, and I don't know what to do with it. Emily pressed her cheek against his back. You let the truth live where it belongs. In the open, not hidden in your bones. He turned to face her. Do I tell her? Emily looked at him firmly. She's your daughter. But she's her own story. Don't let it start with a lie. The next morning, Marcus sat beside Anna at the breakfast table as she munched her cereal. He waited until her spoon clinked softly into the bowl. Sweetheart, he said. Can I tell you something kind of hard? Anna looked up with wide eyes. Am I in trouble? He smiled. Not even close. She leaned in. My dad, your grandfather, he came to visit yesterday. Anna blinked. I have another grandpa. Marcus nodded. You do. His name is John. He left when I was a little boy, and I haven't seen him since before you were born. Why'd he leave? Marcus exhaled. Because he was scared. He didn't know how to be a dad. And instead of trying, he ran. Anna tilted her head. Like hide and seek? He chuckled sadly. Sort of. But it wasn't a game. She was quiet, thinking. Then, is he nice? I don't know yet, Marcus admitted. But he says he wants to meet you someday. Do you want that? He hesitated. I'm not sure. But I want you to choose. When you're ready. Anna looked down at her bowl, swirling the milk with her spoon. Then she whispered, Can I draw him first? Marcus smiled, tears pressing behind his eyes. That's a beautiful place to start. And in that moment, the legacy of absence began to crumble brick by silent brick, replaced by something new. Something chosen. Something honest. Because healing, Marcus now understood, wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about telling it without shame, and letting love rewrite what silence tried to erase. The auditorium lights dimmed as the last of the parents took their seats. It was Family Heritage Week at Anna's elementary school, a tradition where each child presented a story, photo, or object representing their family's journey. Marcus sat in the middle row, hands resting on his knees, his heart beating faster than he cared to admit. Emily sat beside him, her hand gently resting on his, calm but watchful. On the stage, a slideshow flicked through grainy images and drawings. One by one, children shared tales of great-grandparents who fled war zones, grandmothers who baked legendary pies, and uncles who played guitar under the stars. Then came Anna. She stood on the small wooden platform in her sunflower yellow dress, holding a large trifold poster labeled, Where I Come From. There were photos, yes, but also drawings. Her great-grandmother Annabelle in a church hat. Her father as a boy with wild glasses. her mom in a diner uniform, and even a stick figure of herself holding hands with someone new. The title across the top read, "I am not a secret." She cleared her throat. "Hi. My name is Anna Black Thompson. I'm 6. My project is about my family. But not just the people. It's about the silence, too." The room hushed. Even the teachers leaned in. "My daddy didn't know I existed for a long time," she said matter-of-factly. "But when he found out, he didn't run away. He came to the park and tied my shoes. And now he's in all my drawings." Soft laughter rippled across the room. "And my mom? She's been my everything since day one. She's the reason I know what strong looks like. She taught me to speak up, even if my voice shakes." Emily's eyes glistened, and Marcus felt his throat close. "I also found out I have a grandpa. He didn't stay in my dad's life. But I drew him anyway. Because people aren't just their mistakes. They're also their chances to do better." She pointed to a small drawing in the corner. "That's him. He's holding a kite." The audience was silent, transfixed. "My family's not normal, but who is, really? We're a bridge, from pain to healing, from alone to together, and every part matters, even the cracks." She bowed slightly. "Thank you." The applause came slowly at first, then grew into a standing ovation. Marcus stood last, not because he wasn't proud, but because he needed a second to breathe. He had never felt so completely seen and so deeply vulnerable in public. After the presentations, parents milled around the exhibits. Marcus knelt beside Anna's display, tracing her drawings with his finger. "You really drew Grandpa John," he said softly. Anna nodded. "I'm still not sure I want to meet him, but I wanted to give him a spot." "That's brave. I just want to understand the whole story. Not just the good parts." Marcus smiled. "You're already wiser than I was at your age." She looked up at him. "Can we visit Grandma Anna Bell's grave next weekend?" He blinked, then nodded. "Yeah. We'll bring flowers. Maybe your drawing too." That night, after the crowd had dispersed and the stage was empty, Marcus lingered. He stood alone, staring at the space where Anna had delivered her truth like a seasoned speaker. Lena called later that evening. The media got hold of a clip from the presentation. Someone's parent uploaded it. "It's going viral." Marcus sighed. "Of course it is. They're calling it the little girl who taught a billionaire to be human." He didn't laugh. "She didn't teach me to be human. She just reminded me that I always was." Lena posed, "Do you want me to shut it down?" He considered it. "No," he said finally. "Let them see her truth. It's stronger than any spin." Emily joined him on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker beneath them. "She was incredible today." "She was herself," Marcus replied. "And that was enough." "You know," Emily said, "there's something powerful about not being ashamed of where you come from." He nodded slowly. "I used to bury my past. Now she paints it in watercolor." They stood together for a long while, letting the breeze fill the silence. "She said we're a bridge," Marcus murmured. Emily glanced at him. "So let's keep building." Inside, Anna slept soundly, her poster tucked beneath her bed like a treasure map. And in that small home high above the city, history was no longer a shadow, it was a lantern, lighting the way forward. On a rainy Wednesday afternoon, Marcus found himself alone in the study. The windows blurred with soft drizzles, the city reduced to a watercolor of lights and gray. He sat at the large mahogany desk, a cup of untouched coffee beside him, and a box, an old taped-up box he hadn't seen in years, open in front of him. It was from his childhood. Emily had found it in the back of a storage unit he hadn't visited since college. Most of it was junk old cassette tapes, torn notebooks, a rusted harmonica, but at the bottom was a bundle of letters, yellowed with time and bound with string. They were addressed to John Black, his father. But the return address was always the same. Marcus E. Black, 3rd floor, apartment 2B. He hadn't remembered writing so many. Some were long. Some barely a paragraph. But all of them were dated between the ages of 7 and 16. None of them had been mailed. He unfolded one written in pencil, the handwriting still unsteady. "Dear Dad, I passed my spelling test. Miss Carter said I had the best handwriting in class. Mom said she's proud, but I want to hear you say it too. Do you ever think about us? Marcus stared at the page, the words bleeding into each other. His hands trembled slightly as he opened the next. Dear Dad, I joined the basketball team. I'm not the tallest, but I'm fast. Sometimes I imagine you in the bleachers, clapping. Mom still works double shifts. She gets tired. I try to make her laugh. Another letter. Then another. Each one more desperate, more honest. He had poured out everything he never said, aloud. Rage. Hope. Confusion. And always, an aching need to be seen. Emily entered quietly, holding a soft towel from the dryer. Hey, she said. I found that box by the hallway closet. You okay? Marcus looked up, voice thick. I forgot I wrote these. Emily sat beside him, glancing at the top letter. She didn't touch it. She didn't need to. I don't know what's worse, Marcus whispered, that I wrote them. Or that I never believed he'd answer. You were just a kid, Emily said gently. Kids hope. Even when they don't admit it. Marcus leaned back, staring at the ceiling. How do I tell Anna this part? The part where I begged for love I never got? Emily was quiet for a beat. You don't need to tell her everything yet. Just enough for her to know she's breaking a cycle. No, he nodded slowly. Then, with quiet hands, he began folding the letters, one by one, placing them neatly back into the box. I think I'll give these to her when she's older, he said. When she's ready to understand the full weight. Emily placed her hand over his. That day will come. But for now, you're writing new letters. Every bedtime story. Every shoelace tied. Every morning kiss. She'll feel those longer than any words on paper. That weekend, Marcus took Anna and Emily to the cemetery. The sky was bright, the grass still damp from recent rain. They walked in silence. Anna holding Marcus's hand tightly. The headstone read, Anna Bell Black, 1946, 2005. Beloved mother. Fierce protector. Marcus crouched and brushed a few leaves away. Hi, Mama, he said softly. It's been too long. Anna stood next to him, eyes wide. She's the one I'm named after. She is. Marcus smiled. You would have made her laugh. Anna reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded drawing. She had spent 2 days on it, colored carefully, with stars in the background and their family holding hands in front of a bridge. I made this for her, she said. Marcus watched as she placed it at the base of the headstone, weighing it down with a small stone. I think she'd like it, Anna whispered. She would have framed it, Marcus said, eyes glassy. Emily gave them space, standing a respectful distance away. Marcus exhaled slowly. Mom, this is Anna. She's brave, just like you. And she's got a laugh that could soften steel. Anna knelt beside the stone. Hi, Grandma. I'm gonna take care of your boy. Okay? Marcus let out a breath that was part sob, part laugh. They stayed there a while, listening to the wind rustle through the trees, the birds chirping above like some silent choir. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, a long-held tension finally beginning to ease. As they walked back to the car, Anna looked up at him. Can I write her letters too? Of course, he said. She'd love that. Anna paused. I think I want to meet Grandpa John. Marcus glanced at her. You sure? She nodded. You said people deserve second chances. I want to see if he's ready. Marcus exchanged a look with Emily, who gave a gentle nod. All right, he said. We'll make it happen. A week later, they met at a quiet park just north of Harlem. John sat on a bench, a weathered hat in his lap. Nervously checking his watch, Anna approached first, hands in her coat pockets. Hi, she said simply. John stood slowly. Hello, Anna. She looked at him carefully. You look like my dad. But older, he chuckled. That's fair. They sat down, Marcus and Emily standing a few paces away. I brought you something, Anna said, handing him a drawing. It was a picture of a bridge again, but this time, there were 3 generations walking across it. John studied it in silence. "I'm not sure if I want to call you Grandpa yet," she said honestly. "That's okay," John replied. "I'm just grateful you came." Anna looked at him. "Are you going to stay this time?" John's voice cracked. "If you let me." She nodded slowly. "We'll see." And just like that, the silence that had haunted generations began to break, not with shouts or declarations, but with a child's steady voice, offering something braver than forgiveness, possibility. Thanksgiving came with the weight of tradition and the tremor of something new. The long oak table in Marcus's penthouse dining room had never held so many mismatched dishes. There were handwritten place cards, plates filled with sweet potatoes and collard greens, roasted vegetables, mac and cheese, and a turkey so large it barely fit the pan. The scent of rosemary and butter drifted through the air like a memory. Emily was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, laughing as she stirred the gravy. Anna stood on a step stool beside her, carefully arranging the cranberry sauce into a perfect spiral. Marcus set out the wine glasses and sparkling juice, watching them both with a quiet, swelling joy. At exactly 5 o'clock, the doorbell rang. John Black stood outside, holding a pie in a brown paper bag. Wearing a wool sweater that still had the tag tucked inside the collar, Marcus opened the door and gave a slight smile. "You're early." "Military habit," John replied, "and I didn't want to be late for the first real family dinner in decades." "Oh." He stepped in slowly, his eyes scanning the apartment as if it were a museum of someone else's life. Marcus led him to the living room, where a jazz playlist hummed softly in the background. Emily appeared with a warm greeting, taking the pie and offering him cider. Anna peeked around the corner, her braids swinging. John saw her and straightened. "Evening, young lady." Anna walked over with confidence, holding out a place card. "I made this for you. You're sitting next to me." John's weathered hand trembled slightly as he took it. "Thank you." They gathered at the table. Anna took her seat in the middle, with Marcus to her left and John to her right. Emily sat across, her eyes flickering between them, measuring the tension, ready to redirect it if needed. Marcus stood, raising his glass. "I know this table looks different than last year, and the year before that, but this is the first Thanksgiving I've ever had with 3 generations under one roof. That matters, not because it's perfect, but because it's earned. So, here's to new beginnings and old truths." They clinked glasses. Anna toasted with juice, John with cider, and for a moment, the clatter of plates and laughter smoothed the edges of old wounds. Dinner was lively. Anna told stories about school, including her recent spelling bee victory, and how she wanted to be an astronaut chef when she grew up. John listened closely, nodding, occasionally laughing in that low rumble that echoed Marcus's own. At one point Anna asked, "What was Dad like when he was my age?" John looked surprised. He glanced at Marcus, who gave a small shrug as if to say, "Go on." John leaned forward. "He used to race pigeons on the rooftop with the neighbor kids. Once, he tried to build a catapult to launch one farther. Ended up getting grounded for a week." Anna gasped. "You launched a pigeon?" "No." Marcus laughed. "I tried." The pigeon wisely declined. Laughter roared around the table, and for the first time, Marcus saw his father not as the man who left, but as someone who was trying, however awkwardly, to step back into the circle. After dessert, Marcus and John stood at the window, city lights stretching like stars below them. "She's something else," John said, nodding toward Anna. Marcus followed his gaze. "She saved me, Dad, and not just from myself." John was quiet for a moment. "You think she'll really forgive me?" Marcus folded his arms. "She doesn't carry your ghosts. But she'll ask you to show up. Every time." "I will," John said, voice gravel, low. Marcus turned to him. "Why now?" John exhaled. "Because I realized regret is heavier than guilt. And silence. Silence gets louder with time." Marcus nodded. "Then don't be silent anymore." They joined the others in the living room, where Anna was organizing a board game. She made John her partner and insisted on being the banker. Emily passed around cups of hot cocoa, and the evening stretched into stories, laughter, and the kind of healing that doesn't come from apology but from presence. Later, after John had left and Anna was tucked in bed, Marcus stood by the doorway to her room. He watched her sleep, her fingers still curled around the corner of a blanket. Emily approached quietly. She asked if we could have Grandpa over for Christmas, too. Marcus smiled, tired but full. Let's make room. Emily leaned her head against his shoulder. You're changing everything, Marcus. He shook his head. She is. I'm just following her lead. In the stillness of the night, the home felt different. Fuller. Not just with voices, but with understanding. And while the past couldn't be rewritten, it no longer held the pen. This Thanksgiving, they didn't just serve food, they served grace. And at a table that once knew only absence, every seat was now filled with family, with story, and with the courage to begin again. It was a crisp December morning when Marcus received the call that would tilt the world on its axis once more. The sun was just beginning to touch the skyline, casting a golden light across his office. He sat at his desk, reviewing portfolio reports, when Lena's voice cracked through the intercom. Marcus, NBC just confirmed. They want you and Anna on Real Faces of America, prime time, next Thursday. He paused, fingertips resting on a printed spreadsheet. They want Anna? Lena's voice softened. They saw the school clip, the one that went viral. They're calling her the voice of a generation. Marcus leaned back. She's 6. She's 6, Lena echoed, but she's saying what grown men are too afraid to, and the country is listening. Marcus didn't answer immediately. He stared out the window, where the city moved like a living organism, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. Set it up, he finally said. But on one condition. I know, Lena said. No politics, no exploitation, just the truth. The studio lights were unforgiving. The stage set was cozy, designed to look like a living room, with soft lamps and a plush couch. Anna sat beside Marcus, her patent leather shoes dangling above the floor. She wore a red dress, hand-picked by Emily, with a tiny sunflower pin at the collar. The host, a warm-voiced woman in her 50s named Gwen Morris, adjusted her mic and smiled. We're live in 3, 2, 1. The red light blinked on. Good evening, America, Gwen began. Tonight, we bring you a story that's captured hearts and stirred conversations coast to coast. A billionaire, a child, and the unexpected bridge between them. The screen behind them showed a still of Anna tying a ribbon around her school poster. The caption read, I am not a secret. Marcus Black, Gwen continued. You've been named one of the most influential figures in business. Yet none of your IPOs made headlines the way your story with Anna has. What made you step out of the boardroom and into this little girl's life? Marcus looked at Anna, then back at Gwen. I didn't step in, he said. I stumbled in. But once I saw her sitting alone, crying in that park, I couldn't look away. And when did you find out she was your daughter? A few weeks after we met, he replied. There were questions, then answers, painful ones, but also beautiful ones. Gwen turned to Anna. And you, Miss Anna, how did it feel to learn your dad was someone famous? Anna shrugged. He wasn't famous to me. He was just the guy who tied my shoes and made the mean kids go away. The audience chuckled, charmed. What do you love most about your dad? Gwen asked. Anna thought for a moment. He listens. Like, really listens. And he doesn't lie to me even when it's stuff I don't want to hear. Marcus blinked rapidly, hiding the emotion creeping into his chest. And what's the hardest part? Gwen asked gently. Anna's voice softened. That he wasn't there when I was little, but he's here now. That's what matters. The camera zoomed in slightly. Gwen looked at Marcus. Mr. Black, what do you say to other men who've walked away from their children? He took a breath. I say, stop running. There's no corner of success that can shelter you from the silence of your child not knowing your voice. And there's no shame in showing up late, only in not showing up at all. There was a stillness in the studio that couldn't be edited out. Gwen turned to the camera. Sometimes, family finds its way back, not through perfection, but through persistence. As the segment wrapped, the audience erupted in gentle applause. Off air, Gwen leaned in and whispered, That was brave. And important. Thank you. Marcus nodded. Thank her, he said, nodding to Anna. After the interview aired, Marcus's phone didn't stop buzzing for 3 days. Messages from colleagues, politicians, activists, and strangers flooded in. But one call came that caught him entirely off guard. It was from Harlem Unity Charter School. They wanted Marcus and Anna to visit and speak to a classroom of kids whose fathers were incarcerated or absent. They said Anna's words had sparked something. They were calling it the Bridge Project, a new mentorship program. Marcus wasn't sure he was ready, but Anna said, "They need to know it's okay to be scared, and to keep trying anyway." So they went. Inside the modest gym-turned-assembly hall, 20 kids sat in folding chairs. Some slouched, some crossed their arms. All wore that look Marcus remembered from his own childhood. "Don't expect me to trust you." Marcus didn't bring a speech. He didn't bring a slideshow. He just brought Anna, who stood beside him with quiet fire in her eyes. He spoke about shame, about mistakes, about courage being less about bold moves and more about showing up. Again and again, Anna stepped forward, hands in her coat pockets. "My dad missed some big stuff," she said honestly, "like my first steps, or when I lost my first tooth. But he's here now. And now we're writing new stories." One boy in the back, no older than 10, raised his hand. "Is it too late for my dad?" Anna looked at him, then at Marcus. Then she said, "It's never too late to start the story you want to read." When they left the school that day, Marcus felt something shift again, not just in the kids they met, but in himself. He was no longer just a father or a CEO. He was a bridge builder, and every step forward was laying down a plank toward redemption, toward truth, and toward a future where children weren't defined by who left them, but by who came back. Winter began to fade in New York. The ice thawed from the sidewalks, and the city shook itself free of the cold with a buzz of early spring. But inside Marcus, something remained frozen, something he hadn't yet confronted, not even with Emily, not even with Anna. It had to do with his father. The bridge was built, yes, and they had shared meals and photos and even tentative laughter. But there was one thing still missing, something Marcus could not name until it finally arrived. It happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Marcus had taken Anna uptown to the community center, where she had started volunteering to read books to younger kids. She was radiant as ever, curled in a beanbag chair with a circle of toddlers hanging on her every word. Marcus smiled, proud. She was more than he had ever dreamed, part fire, part light. John Black was waiting outside when they returned. He stood beside Marcus's building, his hat pulled low, hands in the pockets of his overcoat. Something about his posture told Marcus this wasn't just a drop-in. They rode the elevator in silence. Anna was humming a tune under her breath, one she'd learned from Emily's old vinyl collection. When the doors opened, John turned to Marcus. "Can we talk?" he asked, nodding toward the rooftop deck. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "Emily, can you take Anna inside?" "Of course," she said gently, taking Anna's hand. Up on the roof, the wind carried the scent of rain. John leaned against the railing, his eyes scanning the skyline. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, John said, "You ever wonder why I left?" Marcus folded his arms. "Every damn day." John nodded slowly. "I was 23. Your mother was the strongest woman I ever knew. But I was weak, and scared, and full of anger I didn't understand. I thought I'd ruin you both." Marcus stared at him. "You did." John swallowed hard. "I know. And every year that passed, I thought about picking up the phone. But the longer I waited, the heavier it got. Until it just felt impossible." Marcus's jaw tightened. "But it wasn't impossible, was it? You just didn't want to face what you left behind." John turned, eyes red. "You're right. There's no excuse. I failed you. But I came back because I don't want to fail her, too." Marcus exhaled. "She's not your redemption story. She's not your second chance to rewrite my childhood." "Might go." "I know," John said. "But she's my family. And you are, too." The wind paused, as if waiting. "I've made peace with the fact that you may never forgive me," John said quietly. but I needed you to hear me say it. I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm sorry for leaving, for missing your birthdays, for not being the man you needed." Marcus looked away, then back. His voice was low. "I wrote you letters, you know, dozens. I never mailed them. I didn't even believe in the mailbox." John blinked. "I wish I could read them." Marcus shook his head. "Number, they weren't for you. They were for me, for the boy who needed to scream." A long silence stretched between them. Then John stepped closer. "I watched that interview with Anna. The way you looked at her. The way she looked at you. You became the father I never was. And I just need you to know. I'm proud of you." Marcus felt his chest crack open. Then John placed a hand on his shoulder, hesitant but steady. "You're a better man than I ever was, son." The word hit Marcus like a tidal wave. Son. He hadn't heard that word in decades. Not from him, not like this. Tears welled in Marcus's eyes, unbidden. His throat tightened. And in that quiet moment, the wall he had spent a lifetime building around his heart began to crumble. He didn't speak, he just nodded. And for the first time, he let his father pull him into an embrace. That night, as the family gathered around a simple dinner of chicken, stew, and biscuits, Marcus sat beside John with a new ease. Anna was animated, telling a story about a boy who'd burped during her reading circle and made everyone laugh so hard they fell over. Emily smiled, watching them. There was light in the room now that hadn't been there before, soft and true. After dinner, Anna curled up on the couch with John, her head resting on his chest. "Grandpa," she said, "what did you want to be when you were little?" John chuckled. "A pilot. I wanted to fly so high the stars would look small." Anna looked up. "What happened?" "I got scared," he admitted. "Didn't think I was good enough, so I stopped dreaming." Anna reached up and touched his face. "You don't have to stop anymore." John kissed her forehead. "You're right." Later that night, Marcus stood by the window, looking out at the dark horizon. Emily joined him, slipping her arm around his waist. "He called me son," Marcus whispered. "I know," Emily said. "I heard it. It felt like a door opened." Emily smiled. "It didn't just open, Marcus. You walked through it." They stood there in silence, the city lights blinking like distant promises. And Marcus knew fully that healing didn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes, it came in a single word spoken late, but not too late. "Son." The morning of Anna's school assembly dawned bright and brisk, the kind of early spring day that felt like the world had been washed clean. The air carried a bite, but the sun was generous, and the sky stretched wide with promise. Marcus stood at the mirror adjusting Anna's headband, a sunflower tucked delicately to the side, her symbol of hope, resilience, and light. She beamed at her reflection, then turned to face him. "Do you think they'll like my speech?" she asked, voice small but brave. "They'll feel it," Marcus said, crouching to her level. "And that's more important than anything else." Downstairs, Emily was already prepping the camera. John waited near the door in his best blazer, the one Anna had picked out for him at a thrift shop, insisting he looked presidential. The elevator ride down was filled with quiet excitement, Anna swaying gently on her heels, lips moving silently as she rehearsed. At the school, the gymnasium had been transformed. Foldable chairs lined in perfect rows, colorful banners hanging overhead. A hand-painted sign near the stage read, "Voices of Tomorrow." Teachers buzzed like bees, ushering parents and guests into place. When Anna walked in, a hush fell over a small section of the crowd, parents who recognized her, children who'd whispered about her, teachers who had once pitied her but now looked at her with awe. Principal Harris, a kind man with tired eyes and a hopeful heart, welcomed the audience. "Today, you'll hear from some of our brightest voices. These children remind us of the world we can build not just with books and grades but with courage." Anna was second to speak. The first was a boy named Leo, who told a heartfelt story about rescuing a stray dog. Then the stage was hers. She walked up, her red shoes clicking softly against the polished wood floor. She reached the microphone, adjusted it, and took a breath. "My name is Anna Black. I used to think being quiet made me invisible, that if you didn't have fancy shoes, or a big family, or someone who cheered for you at soccer games, you didn't matter. But I was wrong. A few parents leaned forward. Marcus's heart pounded in rhythm with her words. I used to sit alone at lunch. People laughed at my shoes. They laughed when I cried. But someone saw me. He didn't laugh. He didn't ask me to stop crying. He just sat with me and tied my shoes. John blinked slowly, a tear slipping down one cheek. That man is my dad. And now I have a family. A mom who teaches me about art. A grandpa who tells the best stories. And a dad who shows up, even when it's hard. She paused, scanning the crowd. We talk a lot about heroes. But I think heroes aren't always the ones who save the day. Sometimes, they're just the ones who stay. The ones who choose to love you, even when you're not perfect. Especially then. The gymnasium was silent. I hope when you grow up, you remember this, Anna said softly. You matter, even if you feel small, even if you're scared, you matter. She stepped back. The applause didn't come right away. It crept in slowly, then built like a wave. Teachers stood. Parents wiped their eyes. Children clapped like thunder. Marcus couldn't breathe for a moment. He simply stood there, hand over his chest, eyes shining. Afterward, people crowded around Anna, hugging her, thanking her. A mother pulled Marcus aside, tears streaming. You don't know what that meant to my son, she whispered. He's been struggling. But today, he said he wants to talk again. That night, back at home, Anna sat in her room surrounded by construction paper and crayons, drawing bridges again. But this time, they had arches of gold, lined with tiny lights. People held hands across them, some with canes, some with tears, all with hearts open wide. Marcus entered quietly, holding a soft-bound book. What you drawing? A bridge, Anna said without looking up. To tomorrow. He handed her the book. The cover read, Letters Never Sent. A Journey, by Marcus Black. She opened it carefully, flipping through the pages. Her father's letters edited, framed, introduced with reflections sat side by side with photographs, sketches, and notes. It was a story not just of loss, but of finding. You wrote our story, she whispered. No, he smiled. We wrote it. They sat together for a long time, shoulder to shoulder. The way only families who've known absence can truly appreciate togetherness. Outside, the city pulsed with life, sirens and song, chaos and quiet. Just like them, the next day, Marcus took a walk with John down 125th Street. They passed vendors and saxophonists, murals and food carts. Harlem was changing, but still familiar. Still sacred. John paused by a wall filled with images of black icons: Malcolm, Maya, Baldwin, Simone. You think we'll ever be up there? He asked. Marcus looked at him. Maybe not in paint, but in the echo. John chuckled. What echo? The one that comes when a kid hears they're not alone. When they see a man walk back into his child's life. That echo. John nodded, eyes distant. That's a legacy I can live with. As they reached the corner, Anna ran toward them, holding a sketch pad. Grandpa, Dad, look, I drew us, on a bridge, but this time, it leads to the stars. Marcus picked her up, kissed her forehead. Then that's where we're going. And with that, 3 generations walked forward past the ghosts, past the shame, into a future not defined by who left, but by who returned and stayed. The story of Anna and Marcus teaches us that redemption is never out of reach, and love, when chosen, even late, can still heal deep wounds. It reminds us that showing up, listening, and taking responsibility matter more than perfection. Through honesty, courage, and forgiveness, even broken families can rebuild bridges stronger than before. Most of all, it affirms that every child deserves to be seen, heard, and loved, not someday, but now.